On June 23, 2016, an event took the world by storm. The citizens of the UK had decided their departure from the European Union. While the growing Euroscepticism in the UK was no secret, very few people actually believed such a drastic decision would be taken. For many years, the EU had seemed one of the most powerful blocs, one of the indestructible giants such as the US and China, who ruled as masters, deciding the fate of the world. However, in the light of the current political turmoil, refugee crisis, Greece, Brexit, faith in the European dream begins to dwindle. First of all, Britain issued EU membership in the late 1950s, but changed its mind in the early 1960s, only to be rebuffed by Charles de Gaulle. Membership came only in the early 1970s. This column argues that, among others, Britain joined the EU as a way to avoid its economic decline. The UK's per capita GDP relative to the EU founding members declined steadily from 1945 to 1972. However, it was relatively stable between 1973 and 2010. This suggests substantial benefits from EU membership, especially considering that, by sponsoring an overpowered integration model, Britain joined too late, at a bad moment in time and at an unavoidably larger cost. Since joining in 1973, the UK has used the European Union in a utilitarian way in order to optimize its economic interests. Is it still relevant at the time of Brexit? What consequences for those to Europe?
The UK finally made it into the club in 1973, but just 2 years later was on the verge of backing out yet again. Furthermore, tensions between the EEC and the UK exploded in 1984 when the Conservative Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher talked tough in order to reduce British payments to the EEC budget. Though at the time the UK was the third poorest nation in the community, it was paying a lot more due to its relative lack of farm subsidies then making up some 70% of total EEC expenditures. The Maastricht Treaty, which took effect in 1993, created the Brussels-based European Union, EU, of which the EEC, renamed simply the European Community, or EC, was the main component. The EU was designed to integrate Europe's nations politically and economically, including a united foreign policy, common citizenship rights, and, for most member nations, excluding the UK, a single currency, the euro. Unfortunately, against the backdrop of economic unrest in the Eurozone and an ongoing migrant crisis, UKIP and other supporters of possible British exit from the UK, or Brexit, increased.
The Brexit is the withdrawal of the UK from the European Union. Following a UK-wide referendum in June 2016, in which 52% voted to leave and 48% voted to remain in the European Union, the British government formally announced the country's withdrawal in March 2017, beginning the Brexit process. The withdrawal was delayed by deadlock in the British Parliament. Following a general election, Parliament ratified the withdrawal agreement, and the UK left the EU on the 31st January 2020. This began a transition period that is set to end on the 31st December 2020. During which the UK and EU will negotiate their future relationship. The UK remains subject to EU law and remains part of the EU customs union and single market during the transition, but is no longer part of the EU's political bodies or institutions.
In 2015, the Conservative Party called for a referendum. Most of the pro-Brexit voters were older, working-class residents of England's countryside. They feared the free movement of immigrants and refugees, claiming citizens of poorer countries were taking jobs and benefits from them. Small businesses were frustrated by EU fees. Others felt leaving the EU would simply create more jobs. Many thought the UK paid more into the EU than it received. Those who voted to stay lived mainly in London, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. According to them, free trade with the EU was more than beneficial. They also believed most EU immigrants were young and eager to work. Most importantly, pro-EU voters saw the Brexit as damaging to the UK's global status. For Brexiters, however, an exit of the EU constitutes the only way to regain full sovereignty, with full control over immigration, and take back their future. In general, they assessed UK's membership in the EU as detrimental.
After Brexit, Northern Ireland will be outside the EU, while the Republic of Ireland will remain inside. The impact of Brexit on the Irish border refers to changes in trade, customs, immigration checks, local economies, services, and other matters. Following Brexit and thereby the Republic of Ireland, UK border on the island of Ireland, becoming the only external EU land border between the UK and the European Union. After the UK Parliament voted to leave the European Union, all parties said that they want to avoid a hard border in Ireland, due particularly to the border's historical sensitive nature. Border issues were one of three areas of focused negotiation in the proposed withdrawal agreement. Following the United Kingdom's exit from the European Union on 31st January 2020, this border is also the frontier between the EU and the external country. The Brexit withdrawal agreement commits the UK to maintaining an open border in Ireland.
The UK has already suffered from Brexit. Its economy has slowed, and many businesses have moved their headquarters to the EU. We will present some of Brexit's impacts on growth, trade and jobs. But first, what are the consequences of Brexit for the EU? Britain is one of the biggest contributors to the EU budget. The European bloc will therefore most certainly struggle to fill the funding gap after Brexit. The UK was in fact the third largest net contributor to their budget after the two most powerful EU nations, Germany and France. Officials are worried that Britain has exploded a bomb under the EU budget. Evan Rogers, UK's former ambassador to the EU, the hole left by Britain in the EU budget could lead to infighting among the remaining 27 member states over which countries should fill the funding gap. Moving on to the UK, Brexit's biggest disadvantage is its damage to the UK's economic growth. Uncertainty over Brexit has slowed this growth from 2.4% in 2015 to a mere 1.5% in 2018. The government has estimated that Brexit will lower growth by 6.7% over 15 years. The British pound fell from $1.48 on the day of the referendum to $1.36 the next day. As for the consequences on trade, Brexit would eliminate Britain's tariff-free trade status with the other EU members. Tariffs would raise the cost of exports. That would hurt UK's exporters as their goods become more expensive in Europe. Some of that pain will be offset by a weaker pound. Tariffs will also increase the prices of imports into the UK, especially given that more than one-third of its imports come from the EU. Finally, high import prices will create inflation and subsequently lower the standards of living for UK residents.
The Brexit case creates an unprecedented situation in the European Union. After successive rounds of enlargement, one state is now withdrawing from the European process. Brexit is a sign of the identity crisis that the EU has been going through in recent years. The EU is facing an increasing number of Eurosceptics, with the emergence of extreme right-wing political parties at the head of member states showing a strong mistrust of the EU. It is therefore legitimate to ask what repercussion Brexit will have on other European states. Will it be an example for some, the first to take the first step towards the exit door, or on the contrary, will the difficulty of the negotiation slow down those member states considering leaving the Union?